What does it mean to be a leader? Is it someone who can take charge in the matter of need? Is it someone you rely on to get through a situation? Is it someone who can come up with mind-blowing strategies that come off as delusional and impossible, but somehow work 99% of the time? Well, these are all qualities of what a leader should be. By definition, a leader is someone that leads a group to success. But there are many other qualities to being a leader, such as being compassionate, being able to relate to your comrade, and being able to take that relatability to success. Some leaders will just go down with his ship. That type of leader will do anything, including giving up their own life for the dreams of others and their own. A leader can be someone who tells his teammates in Apex where to go, how to shoot, who to shoot, when to shoot, and when to push. Or just, round up all the loot goblins to get a big dubski. What about a leader that can lead a charge for a chance of victory, but this charge is a guaranteed death? Or a leader that still takes charge even if they're in pain or lose an arm? There is one particular leader that I love as a character and as a leader, and this man is from a series I have recently talked about, and with the series coming to her end, I thought it would be a perfect time to talk about him. Even though Attack on Titan Final Season OVA Part 69 Chapter 420 has been announced, the series is still coming to an end. This character's name is Captain Erwin Smith from Attack on Titan. He's the former leader of the Survey Corps before Hanji took over, and one of the best gosh darn leaders I have ever seen in a show. Before I get onto this video, I want to quote one of my favorite speeches in all of anime and all of Attack on Titan, and this is by Erwin Smith.
There's no point standing around. We'll only be showered by more boulders. Ready your horses on the double.
Be honest, are all of us riding to our deaths?
Yes, we are.
And since we're dying anyway, you're saying that it's better if we at least die fighting?
I am.
But wait, if we'll die anyway, then who cares what we do? We could just disobey your orders, and it wouldn't mean a thing, would it?
Yes, you're precisely right. Everything that you thought had meaning, every hope, dream, or moment of happiness, none of it matters as you lie bleeding out on the battlefield. None of it changes what a speeding rock does to a body. We all die. But does that mean our lives are meaningless? Does that mean that there was no point in our being born? Would you say that of our slain comrades? What about their lives? Were they meaningless? They were not! Their memory serves as an example to us all! The courageous fallen, the anguished fallen, their lives have meaning because we, the living, refuse to forget them! And as we ride to certain death, we trust our successors to do the same for us! Because my soldiers do not buckle or yield when faced with the cruelty of this world! My soldiers push forward! My soldiers scream out! My soldiers rage!
His speech is one of the greatest things I have ever heard, and seeing the outcome, that just makes it so much better. Erwin Smith is a madman and a Chad, and he is such a badass just like every other character that only has one arm. And on this long list of one-armed badasses, we have people like Shanks, Gus, Yamamoto, now we have Erwin, then we have Sesshomaru. Sorry Inuyasha fans, I don't know how to say his name. And I mean, every character with only one arm is a badass, and oh wait, we have Gildarts who's a ripoff of Shanks. But at least he's still badass, so win-win. Erwin Smith is the 13th commander of the Survey Corps. He is noted for his brilliant and resourceful mind, having created new tactics that greatly reduce losses during operations. However, he also has the capacity to be exceptionally ruthless in the pursuit of the goal to protect humanity. Having a character willing to risk it all for humanity and for his own goals, Erwin became one of my favorite characters in a heartbeat. He has such a powerful impact on the story and on each of the characters. I mean, you have a character like Levi, who is a major badass, and you see him being able to reel in Levi and make him a scout using his badass skills for good. Erwin is one of the most respected characters in the series, and is probably one of my favorite characters in not just the series, but in all of anime. Erwin's story will live on through the tales. His legendary skills, action, and mind will allow him to succeed and build a future for the people inside the walls. You know, one arm at a time. Because of his leadership, he was able to accomplish so much by being able to capture a Titan that is actually a Titan shifter, retaking Royal Moria, as well as always having to recover Eren. God damn it, Eren, not again. Who somehow every season finds a way to be taken hostage or just taken away. Almost every character in the show has taken him hostage. And I mean, just in season 1, he gets taken away by the scouts, the MPs, the garrison regiment, and by Annie. I mean, Eric, can you stop getting kidnapped for like 2 seconds? Dude, Eren is the reason Erwin lost his arm and so many comrades. I mean, geez, OPs. Humanity's only hope over here only knows how to get kidnapped. Let's go! We're gonna win! We're gonna beat the Titans! Yeah, baby! Erwin is a serious and calculated man who sees and plans far for the future. While he does trust his men and comrades, he's the first to realize that there is a spy interfering with the Scouting Legion and arrange for his or her capture. He also realized that it would lead into one of the greatest meetings of all time involving this traitor. He is a powerful speaker who is able to sway many people, such as the war law held to judge Eren, as well as the trainees choosing recruitment branches to join. Erwin is very grim. He accepts all news, good or bad, mockery or praise, with the same attitude because he knows his objectives and will follow them through. Because you know,
just another day for the Survey Corps.
He shares this unique story quality with men such as Garrison Commander TauBitzer, Team Leader Ian Detris, and Commander-in-Chief Darius Zachary. They also all share the same quality of being dead. Erwin, like the others, has the ability to send his men to die if it will further the cause of humanity. They will sacrifice their own humanity to bring a change to a world where those who cannot sacrifice the important things in life will not change a darn thing. And because of this, they have been able to further their fight to stay alive. Pittis was able to retake trust, Zachary was able to commit a mutiny, and Erwin is willing to do anything for his dream. And I mean anything. He is willing to sacrifice others, but he is even more willing to risk himself in the minor hope or chance of being able to achieve his dream. And honestly, it is admirable and very inspiring what he is able to do. His commitment and dedication is the thing that brings him victory at all times. Erwin Smith is probably one of my favorite characters in all of anime, and honestly was my #1 in the show for the longest time until Eren Yeager came out of nowhere and just turned into the greatest protagonist of the decade. And the big reason I have him so high up on my list are the ones I have stated already, such as his dedication and his ability to be able to do anything for the big dub. He is like your estranged Smash Bros player who is willing to get rid of their opponent's stock for the dub or even just to take a lead at the risk of their own stock. Erwin is willing to sacrifice his comrades in the slightest chance of victory. He is a devil, and the only way to fight devils is to become one yourself. And the first time we see this isn't even the female Titan situation, but was actually the speech he gave to the people to join the scouts, or heck, we can go even further beyond that. We see this willingness to sacrifice at the court for Eren. He was willing to sacrifice the safety of his comrades on the ability of Levi, which, let's face it, was justified, but still risking the safety of whether or not Eren could control his Titan ability. Going back to the speech, it was an incredible speech to rally these people up for this expedition mission, which was secretly to lure out the traitor of humanity, or the female Titan. You may be wondering, how does he even know there was another Titan shifter per se? Well, Erwin is just a legend, that's how, so suck it. But the worst part about this amazing speech is that he admitted that some of the new people and some of the other comrades will die, on the slight chance of revealing the traitor, or even a dimmer chance to take back Walmaria. Yes, you can say that technically when we find out his plan is when we see this side of Erwin. This side of Erwin where he's willing to risk his comrades like pawns to just checkmate the king. And the king to him was finding out the secret of the Titans, finding out what is beyond the walls, and defeating all the Titans. Honestly, even going back to the start of the story, when they were on that expedition and had to go back, he went back to the wall on a hunch, on just a hunch. Of course it was correct, but it still was a hunch. The sacrifices made by his comrades usually came from a hunch. The Levi squad died to a hunch, and a plan that was unsuccessful at that. And on top of that, he didn't just risk the lives of his comrades either. Once he found out who the female Titan was, he made a glorious plan, a fail-safe plan that could not fail.
I have an absolutely foolproof plan to lure her into a trap.
What's the plan?
Annie, come with us, please, please, please!
No.
It didn't work! God fucking damn it.
Okay, but on a serious note, in the story we find out who the female Titan was, and let's be honest, you can tell just off that ass of the Titan. I mean, hot damn. And that Titan is Annie, who also has a nice ass. Erwin comes up with a plan to trap Annie underground to prevent her from transforming, which, let's be honest, if Annie were to transform underground, it would have just killed Armin, Eren, and Mikasa because of the goddamn rubble. Well, maybe not Eren because he could transform, but still, a risk that something like that could happen. A plan that could have worked if she went down into the creepy alleyway underneath the street, but also had the same amount of chance of not working and killing Eren. But let's face it, it was a plan that, let's say, if she still transforms, she would have just killed them and a bunch of civilians, risking humanity's best shot at taking a dub over the Titan. Like, what the frick? He was willing to risk his safety over the chance of finding out some secrets of the wall and capturing the female Titan, which fails anyway, since they cannot interrogate her since she decided to cocoon up like a bitch. But let's not just talk about this plan. His backup plan was a fisted cup between Eren and Annie in Titan form in the middle of the fucking street inside a Walsina, risking the lives of thousands of civilians in the hope of Eren being able to defeat Annie, which, by the way, he has not done yet in the series. He keeps on losing and taking L's. And on top of that, your best scout is out of commission in Levi because Mikasa was a big dingus in the chance of saving Eren for the 1000th time. I mean, I guess you still have Mikasa, who's a badass and comes in clutch at the end, but still, he kills so many people on the glimpse of finding out some deets about his opponents. He's like a little brother who is so giddy to read his sister's diary about her love life and how much strategy goes into finding out the secrets. Or even like a protagonist of a doujin who goes into his sister's room to just read her diary to blackmail her into giving him the suck. But that is what I love about Erwin. He's a great character. He is very selfish and a greedy character. As a leader, you need to be selfish and greedy. If you want to succeed and get that dub, you need to be selfish and greedy. Now, I am going to go back to one of my favorite anime and characters of all time. We have Iskandar, or Ryder, from Phase Zero, one of the best leaders of all time, and I want to quote his entire speech to Saber about being a king or a leader to you.
King of Conquerors, you seek the Grail merely for your own benefits. You could never understand. You, who became a ruler only to satisfy your endless greed.
A king without greed is even worse than a figurehead. Saber, you said you would martyr yourself for your ideals. In life, you must have been a pure saint. A proud and noble figure, certainly. But who can truly admire the martyr's thorny path? Who dreams of such an ending? A king? The king must be greedier than any other. He must laugh more loudly and rage for longer. He must exemplify the extreme of all things, good and evil. That is why his retainers envy and adore him, and why the flames of aspiration to be as the king is can burn within his people. Proud king of chivalry, the righteousness and ideals you bore may indeed have saved your nation once. However, I'm certain you know what became of those who were saved, but left to themselves.
What?
You saved them, but you never led them. You never showed them what a king should be. You abandoned your men when they lost their way. Then alone and untroubled, you followed your own petty little ideals. Thus, you are no true king. You are only a little girl, enraptured by a false idol of a king who serves others, but not themselves.
This quote perfectly specifies the purpose of a king or a leader. Of course, you may want to agree with Saber, but the one who is more agreeable is Iskandar. Erwin Smith perfectly sums up the type of leader Iskandar believes in. The type who is willing to make that sacrifice that is needed to win. He is immensely greedy when it comes to the idea of gaining more knowledge about the true enemy. Which, if we're being all honest, is even funnier to think about now. Erwin suspected an even bigger enemy from the very beginning, referring to Marley and the other Titan shifters. And yes, of course, he had no idea about any of that from the very beginning, but it doesn't change the fact that he had the hunch of an unnamed enemy, and it came true like all of his hunches do. Erwin Smith is no prophet. He is far from one. He makes mistakes. If he was a prophet, he would have been able to capture the female Titan with the bare minimum amount of casualties. He would have known about the other Titan shifters sooner, such as Bertolt and Reiner. The dude is not a prophet, but he is a legendary man that should be respected. Erwin's greed and ambitious nature take every chance he can for his selfish dream and desire, he will take and grab it by the balls. And there is one other thing that Iskandar would deem Erwin as a great leader, and that is of course his big bushy eyebrows, because gosh darn they are thick. Just as thick as Annie's ass. Like Iskandar said to Saber, you can save them, but you have to lead them as well. Erwin did both. He was able to lead his soldiers to victory while leading them to their death countless of times. Erwin was able to trap and lure the female Titan into a trap he created because of his pure skills and brains. This was only possible because he was one of the first people to realize that there was a spy or traitor amongst them. You know what I just realized? Erwin would be pretty good at Among Us. When Eren was on trial, he used a strategy to save Eren, using his best plea of all time.
Don't fucking kill him, please.
Erwin let it rip and summoned Levi in a tap position, which made him use his secret technique, making the ultimate dominatrix fanfiction for all the fangirls out there. Every incident that is involved Annie that I mentioned already was just season 1, baby. We got a bunch more to cover about Erwin, and the next chapter is season 2. We begin season 2 with the aftermath of the entire battle inside of Wall Sinai. Erwin orders some of his comrades to find out from a certain group of people that Annie has interacted with to sniff out any more traitors, which by the way was just a hunch of his that turned out to be correct. A hunch that put so many of his comrades and subordinates in harm's way. What if the traitor decided to reveal themselves and just say to hell with it and blow up the place? Especially if it was Bertolt and explodes the building, killing everyone. I mean, jeezums. But these are positives towards his character and what makes him a true leader. To win a battle or a war on all fronts, you have to take these types of risks to be able to survive and become victorious. With all these situations, Erwin knew the dangers and was still willing to sacrifice all of his pawns for the slight chance of checkmate. And heck, he is even willing to risk himself on countless occasions just in the slightest chance of winning. Erwin Smith, the legend amongst men, risked so much in a certain situation involving, oh you guessed it, Eren, who gets kidnapped for the millionth frickin' time.
Oh my god. Eren, can you stop getting eaten already?
To give context to this situation, Ymir just revealed herself as the Jarred Titan, and by god, this is the ugliest Titan from such a hot anime waifu. Bertolt and Reiner confront Eren about being the colossal and armored Titan, to try and convince Eren to allow them to kidnap him and take him to their homeland Marley. Cause we all know, we all want to be kidnapped politely, obviously. Oh wait, my bad, it was just Reiner. Bertolt's too much of a bitch to do this. He would rather just kick down a wall and kill a bunch of people, and allow a mother to get eaten out in front of their son. But of course that doesn't go well, so they declare war on the scout regiment and Eren, and they fail horribly. Eren won this easily, and oh my gosh, Bertolt, can you stop being a bitch for 2 seconds and stop putting in cheap shots to win? So they kidnap Eren anyways. And they get a bonus, they kidnap Ymir as well. You know, the girl who ate out a 12-year-old in front of his friends. Okay, I'll stop. After that, Erwin starts another fail-safe plan that cannot fail. A plan to rescue Eren. This plan does risk the lives of some of his comrades, but because of this plan, it will only kill a couple of them. Erwin spots the armored titan escaping at the edge of the forest and calls for all squaws to follow him and let the titans chase after them. Then he leads the military straight at Reiner with all the titans on their collective tail, like a Chad. Knowing that the Titans will be just as happy to attack the armored Titan, he shouts for all soldiers to disperse and get away, leaving Reiner to deal with the brunt of the Titan's attention. And goddamn, does he have to deal with a bunch of Titans? I mean, he has to use both of his hands to get past them. I know, he has to use both hands. But its only downfall is because he leaves Bertolt and Eren wide open to get killed and eaten, making a brand new video for Reiner to watch. 2 boys get eaten out by a group of Titans in front of their friend. Once Reiner is immobilized beneath the weight of all the other Titans, Erwin calls for the soldiers to attack because they must recover Eren if humanity has a future. As he leads the charge, a Titan unexpectedly appears in the mist, catching his arm in its mouth. Erwin shouts for the soldiers to continue their advance as it carries him away. Honestly, I couldn't believe Erwin in the middle of losing his arm looked like he wasn't even in a lot of pain, even though he probably was. He didn't bellow under pressure because he was about to lose an arm, or heck, even we didn't know, and he most certainly didn't know, if he was about to die. He didn't fret, he didn't regret, he didn't falter, he did not break down in tears from the pain, but instead made his soldiers keep on moving to try and rescue their only hope in Eren. And that is what I love about Erwin. He will do anything to get that checkmate. He is willing to put himself as the king on a chessboard in harm's way to get attacked by another piece to allow his knights and queen to get that checkmate against his enemy in Bertolt and Reiner. and he is now up there with all the badasses with only one arm in anime. He is up there with people like Shanks and Yamamoto. He doesn't even need to do anything crazy like battle Whitebeard, battle Mihawk, or just have one of the coolest bankais of all time. This entire episode puts him up there with people like them. A wounded Erwin then releases Eren from Bertolt by slashing Bertolt right through the chest. Thank God someone did it. Honestly, if no one would have done it, I would have jumped through the TV and I would have done it because, you know, I would totally be Levi. Fine, I'll prove it to you that I'll be Levi. Just watch me. Fuck! Erwin, with his right arm now cut off, retrieves Eren and yells for all his soldiers to retreat. With Reiner now acting like a sore loser, he starts chucking titans at everyone in the hopes of one of them eating Eren, and of course one of the titans he decided to throw just happened to land near Erwin, making Eren fall off his horse. When one of his comrades tries to help him, Erwin insists that he is replaceable before he realizes that he's now tied to a titan who is sucking on that same soldier like he is a goddamn pacifier.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
I mean, that poor soldier just wanted to help him, man. It feel like getting an instant 360 no-scope headshot in Call of Duty.
Retreating with Eren became their top priority. The battle turns against the military as the soldiers are getting, you know, fucking eaten. Eren strikes the titan that is currently attacking him and Mikasa, who also just happened to be the same titan who ate his mother. Like, that's gonna do anything, Eren. Jeez, OPs. Don't just punch a titan. Holy shit, that actually worked. He awakened some type of ability for him to control titans and make them commit cannibalism. This seems like a very overpowered power. It can't be foreshadowing anything. No, it can't be. Then when Ryan decides to charge in head first like he is the first person in line for a chance to meet a VTuber IRL. So Eren activates the same ability he just used to commit cannibalism, to control the Titans to kill his old best friends. Seeing the opportunity to escape, Erwin shouts to the soldier to withdraw. Like a Chad. When Erwin does it, he's a Chad. When Bertolt does it, he's a bitch. Because the mission was a success, so what? A few people decided to get eaten. They might as well just jumped right into the Titan's mouth. Just get good and don't get eaten. Despite the loss of his arm, Erwin was in good spirits. When Hanji and Connie reported on the supposed breach wall rose, and on the fate of the Rockco village, Connie's hometown, Hanji came to the conclusion that there was no breach, which made Hanji theorize that maybe, just maybe, all the humans in Rockco village were turned into Titans, because the number of Titans they found were in fact the same number of people in Rockco village. Which is no longer a theory anymore, since Zeke decided to spread his body fluids everywhere and yell really loudly. When Levi found out that all the Titans he has killed were human, and there was a lot, like a lot, he was disgusted with himself and in shock, while Erwin looked like a kid in a candy store.
Excuse me. Oh, it's nothing.
Honestly though, I love Erwin for this. The main reason he got so excited at this fact is because it meant they are getting super close to finding out more secrets about the Titans. And on top of that, it's becoming more clear that his father theory might be correct. His main reason for going on is for his dad's theory, that Erwin totally doesn't decide to spurt out every 20 seconds, resulting in his father's unexpected death, which is totally not a cover-up. To Erwin, this meant that the theory that his father came up with was correct, and that they were getting even closer to Grisha Yeager's cellar. To him, it meant there was more to these Titans than just mythical beings that came out of nowhere and want nothing but human flesh for no reason. This meant to Erwin that there were more people beyond the walls, and that they weren't the only ones left. But little did he know that the people beyond the wall were absolute assholes. And I guess the people beyond the walls like the potatoes with holes in them. Then if you skip ahead, they had to hide Eren from getting kidnapped for, like, you know, the millionth time or something like that. But because of how many times Eren has been kidnapped, they know exactly how to keep him from getting kidnapped. So this plan could never fail. Right? Right?
Mission failed!
You know what? Fuck it. I'm done. Eren, I'm done. I'm out. I'm done. I'm out. I'm done. Goodbye, Eren. Bye. So, Eren gets kidnapped again. But he isn't alone this time. Historia got kidnapped. Armin got kidnapped. Jean got kidnapped. I got kidnapped by my friend to rewatch Attack on Titan again. After, you know, a week previously that I watched it again. Then, directly after that, Erwin gets kidnapped.
Mission failed!
Looks like everyone's getting kidnapped today. The reason Erwin is being kidnapped is because the upper rank people don't want anything else being discovered from the outside of the walls. Because they know if more things got discovered that they're gonna be losing the power. And I mean, their seats are really comfy, man. And the best way to take care of this situation, to silence the crowd and take care of Erwin, well, you just have to frame him for murder. So Erwin is now on the other side of the cell. He was once looking in on Eren and his sexy 10-pack, but now we are looking upon a beaten up Erwin, who still somehow pulls off the being-dominated look. Despite his persistent defense on the Survey Corps, no one was willing to listen. Erwin's words fell on deaf ears. Erwin could not argue against them, and could do nothing to help his case because the nobles told the king about how Levi had killed a couple members of the military police, which made Erwin's case futile. And of course, they left out a few minor details of, it would be in self-defense. Because of this, we are witness to a discouraged Erwin. We have never seen this version of him. Every time he failed or was not doing the best, he was always hopeful of the fact that his comrades did not die in vain. Erwin realizes that he has done all he could, and there was only one gambit left that could be able to keep himself alive to see his dream out to the end. The plan put in motion by him exactly was one of the best things I have ever seen. This was a coup, a mutiny. As Erwin is being escorted from the room, Anka bursts in and announces that the Colossus Titan and the Arbor Titan have breached Wall Rose.
Not again! No, I can't do this! Ah!
With refugees already on their way to Walsina, Pitsis reacts immediately, calling for soldiers to secure an evacuation route, which would cause the officials in the room to reveal their true colors. Yeah, you know what? How about we just don't? How about we just let them all die? They deserve it. We matter. Yes, we're the nobility. We run the place. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Our money must be secure, so you guys... No. Families? Boo. We matter more. And Pitsis just generally responds like,
What do you say that I get my face in the bitch?
when they give the order to shut down the gates to Walsina, sacrificing half of humanity, Niall throws his hat into the race and decides to stand with Wall Rose. And then Commander-in-Chief Zachary arrives with a group of armed soldiers and announces that panic was just a fabrication. Phew, thank God. I thought I was gonna die for a second there. I thought Wall Rose would breach and I thought it was all gonna be over for me. I'll say what now? What do you mean Titans are coming out of the wall? What do you mean Wall Rose is fallen? What do you mean there's a bunch of Titans walking out from the frickin' walls?
We're all gonna die!
The announcement was a test by Pitsis to see if the nobles are worthy of ruling the human race, which they failed. Now, all heads of the military are against them, and thanks to a report by Berg newspaper, the civilians know as well. Erwin's coup has succeeded. Erwin did all of this for a selfish dream, a dream he is willing to die for, a dream he is extremely determined to reach, willing to risk humanity on a whim, just to accomplish this dream. For a slight chance of being able to get to Wall Moria and Shiganshina to find out what was in that cellar, to find out if his father's theory was correct. Which brings me to his father, whose name is Erwin's father. Yes, that is his name. His name is very simple and very similar to Boruto's father from Boruto Shippuden, Quest to Disappoint My Father. It was his words that motivated Erwin to try and prove that his theory about the walls and the world beyond was true. In Erwin's youth, Erwin's father was a teacher in their hometown. One day he was teaching history when a young bright-eyed Erwin Smith asked him a question. He vaguely avoided it, ending class soon after because, the military police and the higher-ups want to erase this theory, and it's actually fact, from history, like the world government for One Piece. When they made their way home, he sat Erwin down and gave him an honest answer to his question based on what he believed. He mentioned that the history books distributed by the government were full of mysteries and contradictions. He believed that it was near impossible for humanity not to have passed down an oral history. Instead, the only way to ensure that humanity forgot about the history before the walls would be to alter their memory in some way, which we find out the Founding Titan can do. Due to Erwin's ignorance, the military police caught wind of Erwin's father's theory. He was then secretly detained and tortured for what he knew. His body was then dumped in a far-off town, made to look like an accident. The only reason he died was because the nobles wanted to keep eating their cupcakes, and I guess they wanted to keep the secret as well. This incident motivates Erwin to follow in his father's footsteps and make his theory his dream. After the proclamation that the military has seized control of the capital, Erwin departs in the carriage with Zachary. Erwin started reflecting on the mutiny that has just happened. He starts to express second thoughts about disposing of the monarchy. Regardless of their corruption and selflessness, humanity had survived this long under their guardianship. What was my right to go off on a rim and take it away? Zachary tells Erwin that he threw his lot in with the coup because of an intense desire to humiliate the king and his men. Even is going as far as to say that he was eventually going to give it a try with or without Erwin. And I mean, did he humiliate them? I mean, geez, oh, this man's into some kinky stuff. Erwin planned the coup despite his misgivings and contacted Pitsis because he was selfish and willing to put himself over the fate of humanity. After a little bit of time, Erwin admits that this was all because of a childhood dream of his. But this dream had brought him so much drive and motivation to keep pushing forward, to defeat all of his enemies, to defeat everyone that opposes him. Erwin, if I am being all honest, probably only got this far because of how brilliant he is and his motivation to achieve his dream. It may be childish, but even so, that childish dream has achieved so many victories. And he even defeated the giant monkey, Zeke. He was able to recapture Eren many times with his wild strategies and gambit. But let's skip ahead to him and his story. We start off with Rod Rice and his gosh darn handsome face. And I mean, come on, just look at his adorable face. I mean, his body is oozing with potential. He was coming down from the other side of the wall to eat a bunch of people because you know, he is a titan. I know, I'm funny, but seriously, he is a titan. Erwin wanted to make Historia the new queen, so he wanted to keep her safe so when that reveal happened, she would become queen and everyone would be happy. But we all know it wouldn't go well because people would just say, "You're just replacing the ruler so the MPs can have more control over the population." Yeah, right. Historia asks Erwin if he thinks people are naive enough to follow someone who is only a ruler by name. She has her own mission she intends to carry out. Erwin disapproves but admits that due to his missing arm, he cannot stop her. Of course, then Levi comes out of nowhere and asks if Erwin needs a hand. Historia then goes on and carries her own plans to gain the trust of the people, which works. We then move on to the final part of this video, and that is the return to Shiganshina Arc. Erwin announces that the operation to take back Wall Maria was ready to commence. With the power of Eren's hardening ability, they can cover every hole, and I mean every hole. Wait, we're not talking about Mikasa? We're talking about the walls? Oh! Erwin announces to commence the operation to take back Wall Maria, using the hardening ability of... What? Using the hardening abilities to cover up the holes in the walls.
Nailed it.
Levi, after the meeting, tries to convince Erwin to stay behind, and the best way to do that was threatening to break both of his legs. With Erwin in his current condition, missing an arm and all, Levi told him that it would just end up making him Titan food, so he has to stay behind. Why would Levi go for the legs? Just cut off his other arm and then offer him a hand.
Very effective.
However, Erwin confesses that seeing what is in the basement is more important to him than living, and that he must be there to see this moment through for humanity and for himself. After hearing this, Levi gives up and realizes that he will unfortunately not be able to change the commander's mind. Hey Levi, if you really want to change his mind, go with my idea. It causes emotional damage. Works every time. Which brings me to the relationship between Erwin and Levi. The two have a mutual trust and respect for each other's skills. Levi is willing to follow all of Erwin's commands, though that did not keep him from speaking his mind. Erwin was also one of the few people who could maintain a casual conversation with Levi, able to exchange brief banters with each other on equal ground. He is also the only one to be able to wrangle in the beast that is Levi. I bet every fangirl wishes they were Erwin right now, because obviously we see some sexual tension between the two of them. Even though Taohatsanji is the best ship, Levi is always on Erwin's side, no matter what, because he trusts his judgment and his hunches, because like I said, his hunches and gambits are rarely off. So no matter what Erwin tells Levi, he will always follow him and would follow him to the bitter end. Levi is also willing to go as far as to allow Erwin to sacrifice himself to defeat the Beast Titan, or catching the female Titan by putting his team at risk. On the day of the operation, Erwin and the other high-ranking soldiers salute to the members of the other branches and head to the wall. The civilians start to cheer for the scouts, which is something that was unheard of for the scouts, and the soldiers become surprised after that. Erwin, seeing the best send-off the scout regiment has ever received, cheers a loud scream back at them as he raises one arm into the air, leaving his subordinates surprised by this unusual reaction given to them by the public. And then they start cheering as well, because this has never happened to them before. This is probably one of my favorite moments in the series. When I first watched this, I I got so pumped up. And honestly, this is the most pumped up for a show I have ever been since the reveal of Sosuke Aizen. The scene where Aizen stops Ichigo's theme song and sword in Bankai form with just a single finger. Yeah, that scene. Erwin was finally able to take pride in his accomplishment, which in turn motivated everyone else to also take pride. Then, once the scouts arrived in Shiganshina, Erwin begins the operation by commanding the scouts to switch the ODM gear and rush the gate, as he himself also switches to it. Erwin is aware that their enemies know about the operation, seal the wall, and investigate the basement. With the knowledge of this, he commands 100 soldiers to cover their heads with their hoods and rush the gate. This will make the Titan shifters oblivious to which soldier is Eren, until of course he decides to seal up the gate, and then they'll just cover him up again and hope they don't notice that. After Eren transforms to seal the wall, Erwin is alerted by Armin, who reveals the evidence that people, aka Berto, Reina, and the mysterious monkey, have been camping atop the wall recently. After Eren has successfully sealed the hole in the wall, Erwin continues to survey the mission's progress. Dirk, throwaway character, really notes that the enemy has not attacked them yet, suggesting that they might be overrun by the scouts' numbers. Though Erwin's not convinced, and also, they have fucking titans. What do you mean overwhelmed by the small amount of scouts you have? Because you know the people who can turn into a little giant, a tank, and a big monkey will be overwhelmed by a few soldiers with swords. Yeah, of course they would be. See, Dirk, this is why you're a throwaway character. You suck and you're dumb. Erwin gives Armin authority over a team of soldiers so that he can search for where their enemies have hidden themselves. Dirk, being stupid, of course, is uncertain about Erwin's decision, but Erwin is confident that Armin will be able to find the enemy. But of course, like we already know, his hunches are never freaking wrong, so Dirk, shut the fuck up and just do your job! Erwin believes in Armin to the fullest, and his trust was not in vain. Armin was able to locate where Reiner was hiding, which gave Levi an opportunity to kill him, but he failed.
Mission failed!
Erwin saw potential in Armin, and honestly, once again, he was not far off. Yes, Armin may have some self-confidence issues, but he is probably one of the smartest soldiers on the planet, only second to Erwin. Well, not anymore. Erwin, throughout this entire mission, comes up with plans to try and win against the Beast Titan. And all the plans he came up with was on the fly, which is insane. Coming up with plans on the fly is incredibly hard to do, and yet Erwin excels at this. This trait is extremely uncommon, because people who can come up with a plan on the spot, and it's actually a good plan, are incredibly rare. Sometimes you have to think outside the box to win, because if you go in with a strategy and not expect something to go wrong, you already failed. Expecting a plan to go perfectly and not expecting failure is the way you fail. Erwin had a plan going into this fight, but left some parts open, so that when the time came, he could adjust his plan for victory. And these adjustments resulted in his victory over the monkey. When Reiner transforms into the Armored Titan and is about to threaten the horses by coming up from the rear, Erwin devised a plan to stop him and distract him. The plan was simple. Eren revealed himself and put himself in harm's way. Okay, now hear me out. Eren transformed right in front of Reiner. I mean, technically behind, but who really cares? But after Eren transformed, he just starts booking it, which could allow a couple things for Eren to do. We have option 1 over here. Reiner doesn't take the bait, which allow Eren to either run away, but he is no bitch, or allow him to go around to the back of the Beast Titan, allowing the scouts to go from the front for a pincer attack. Or option 2, Reiner takes the bait and Eren saves the horses and takes Reiner in a 1v1. And we all know the Armored Titan kind of sucks after season 2. He got bait nerfed, just like Boruto's dad. But that was just number 1 of Erwin's on-the-fly strats. Easy 1-0 in favor of Erwin. And here I thought Zeke was smart and oh, wait, he can throw rocks. Okay, 1-1. But I guess I should probably talk about Zeke versus Erwin, the battle of strategies, the battle of chads, the battle of killing their dads. Zeke threw some giant rocks at the wall's hole to block the scouts' path from getting the horses to the other side for safety. Erwin predicted that Zeke's intention was to have several outcomes. One was to wait it out and capture Eren once he is weak. The other one was just to win. But then, we come to the most important part of this season, and that is Erwin's death. This is one of the most impactful deaths in the show of Attack on Titan, and of course one of the most impactful in all of anime. When Zeke begins assaulting the Survey Corps with a barrage of stones and boulders, Erwin orders the retreat and joins them at the base of the wall. Erwin informs Captain Levi of their desperate situation situation, having lost so many of their soldiers as well as their advantage in this battle. As the new recruits descend into a panic, Levi asks the commander if he has any more ideas. Seeing the inescapable defeat of the Survey Corps, Erwin began to grieve over the failure of his attempts to learn the truth of the world. On top of his mountain of corpses, Erwin has a nice view of his latest outcome. Erwin, in a state of weakness, faltered. The man who rarely gave up hope lost his will to fight, because he realized that his dream may not come true. That is where Levi stepped up and told Erwin to give up on his dream and die with the rest of the recruits, to give Levi the opportunity to slay the Beast Titan. Of course, Erwin was the one who came up with this plan. Levi enacted it. Despite his dream coming to a bitter end, Erwin became relieved. Erwin came to a realization that even though his dream is just a couple steps away, he will not be able to reach it himself. This is where Erwin faltered. The once unstoppable man became stoppable. When Levi stepped up, Erwin realized that he may not achieve his dream, but his comrades will. That gave him some hope that this wouldn't be for nothing, that his death would mean the best outcome for his comrades. Even though, yes, he will not achieve his dream, he was still willing to fight for it to the bitter end. Standing before the panicked recruits, Erwin announced their plan to charge head-on against the Beast Titan. They will be using smoke signals as cover while Levi moves in from the side to confront the Beast Titan, using the line of Titans as a means of clearing the distance. The recruits are distraught at the plan, asking if it's even worth it, worth the effort, if they're just gonna die anyways. I mean, who wouldn't be? You're gonna die. There's no other outcome. You are now bound to death. There's no escape for you. I would be distraught and completely saddened because I know that my life is now over and I will never be able to see my loved ones again. Erwin admits that the decisions of the recruits to fight or abandon their duties are meaningless, but the lives of the soldiers who will die are not without meaning. He declares that it is the duty of the living to give meaning to the dead, and that they must carry out their duty in a way that the living will give their own deaths meaning. The recruits agree to ride forth to their deaths. This is not, oh, they might live. No, they are certain to die. They do end up using the smoke signals as cover to charge the Beast Titan head on with battle cries, but that will not help. They are certain to die. Because as we ride to certain death, we trust our successors to do the same for us. Because my soldiers do not buckle or yield. When faced with the cruelty of this world, my soldiers push forward. My soldiers scream out. My soldiers rage! Charging into the fray, Erwin urges the soldiers to let their blood boil, to let their voices be heard and fight. After the first barrage of rocks is thrown, Erwin is struck and a rock flies through the left side of his waist and through his horse's head and neck. In pain and near death, Erwin throws his head forward and smiles in determination shortly before his now dead horse collapses. This is something that makes Erwin not just a great leader, but a great character. He knew the only way forward was sacrificing himself, or no one would follow. The only way for his dream to happen was for his death, was to sacrifice more lives. Erwin became a devil far worse than the Titans themselves. He killed everyone for the sake of victory and for his dream. Honestly, the one thing I would take away from his character is that belief, is that sacrifice. He was able to conquer through pain, sorrow, misery, and fear because it all revolved around his ambition for his dream to come true. Human fear is the one thing that can drive us to victory, but can also lead to defeat. And being able to conquer this is hard to do. And Erwin did just that. Once he did, he was nearly unstoppable. Having something you're willing to fight for is important. You cannot keep on fighting without this will. If you are not fighting for something, what would even be the point of that fight? And you are 100% correct. Nothing would matter. If you fight for nothing, then that fight is pointless. Erwin's charge was far from pointless. That charge spelled the victory for the scouts. Erwin does manage to survive the hit, but is left unconscious and mortally wounded. He is found by Flock, who somehow survives, who carries him back to Shiganshina District. This charge may not have killed Erwin completely, but it was a thing that will result in his death because he ended up not being chosen by Levi to live and be turned into a Titan. This charge is by far one of the greatest things I have ever seen in anime, and that speech is by far one of the greatest speeches in all of anime. When Erwin talked about staying on top of a mountain of corpses, having a nice view, these corpses came from Erwin's selfish dream and desire. To be a leader, you have to have your own brand of justice. You have to be selfish to be a great leader. And with this selfish desire, Erwin has a way better win to lose ratio compared to most people. Isayama has stated that he wanted Erwin to look like the embodiment of American justice, as he felt that the commander of the Survey Corps needed to be comparable to people like Superman or Captain America. And he portrayed a Captain America type character correctly. And hell, I'll say it, I think Captain Erwin Smith is superior to both Superman and Captain America. Fight me. Erwin was willing to give up his dream for the small opportunity to be able to win the final battle. Every time I see this moment, I get goosebumps because of how much he was willing to sacrifice for his dream. He was willing to give Levi the opportunity to kill the Beast Titan by sacrificing almost all of his comrades and himself. And with the groups of scouts constantly moving up and trying to blind and distract the Beast Titan, they were able to distract him long enough for Levi to reach him. But like everything, every hunch, it comes at a cost. And that cost was the lives of so many recruits, with the only remaining survivors in Flock and immortally wounded Erwin Smith, the devil incarnate. The only way Erwin reached this point was because he became a devil. So why would he stop at just summoning a bunch of titans to risk his comrades in the hopes of rescuing Eren? Or risking all of his comrades to capture the female titan by not telling them his plans? Or risking Stohas with a mighty battle between Eren and Annie? And even risking humanity to save his own skin to see his dream through? Levi was able to reach the Beast Titan but was unable to kill him because the Cart Titan came to rescue him as soon as he was about to kill the Beast Titan. Levi failed Erwin's last wish. No wonder why he didn't choose Erwin over Armin. I mean, what? Because of this, Levi became immensely furious and went charging after the Beast Titan, slaying every Titan in his path. And on his way over there, Levi would have to make an ultimate choice for the survival of humanity. Now let's rewind just a bit now. Armin sacrificed himself to stop the Colossal Titan and was mortally wounded in the process. Originally, we all thought he was dead until we heard a cough. Armin was not dead, and they had Bertolt in their grasp. And with this, they can turn Armin into a Titan and make him eat Bertolt to steal his powers of the Colossal Titan. And upon arrival, Levi noticed this, but before he could even put the syringe in, Flock arrives, in his crying bitch baby state, carrying a mortally injured Erwin. Of course, this became a moral decision to be made. Who would be the most useful to humanity? And both had their positives and downfalls. No matter what Levi had to choose, he had the final say. After a scuffle with Eren and Mikasa, Levi is about to give Erwin the syringe when he remembers Erwin's desire to give up his dreams and die with the recruits killed earlier. Levi gives Armin the serum instead, which allows him to eat Bertolt. Levi then tells Erwin that there will be a delay in his promise to kill the Beast Titan as Erwin dies peacefully. After Armin wakes up fully healed, Armin learns the truth of what just happened. He learns that Erwin died so that he could live. Levi explains that this was ultimately on him, and that he was the one to choose to save Armin. When everything is all said and done, Erwin's body is laid to rest in an abandoned house with his cloak draped over his body and flowers set next to the bed where he lies. There is one other moment I would love to talk about, but it's a major spoiler for part 3 of the final season, so I would just avoid it entirely. Levi chose Armin for a couple of reasons. One was Erwin raising up his hand to ask a question subconsciously. The second was Levi realizing that Erwin became a devil to be able to get this far, and determining that he had lived too long in this hell, and he did not want Erwin to suffer any longer. Erwin's death was a powerful situation that affects Armin throughout the entire series, and not just him, but also Hanji. His death haunts Armin so much due to the effect that he is constantly putting himself down because he could not live up to the commander, which is true from the very beginning. No one could be like the commander, but Armin was his own beast, and was able to do so much and was able to figure out Eren's true plan throughout the final season. Armin regrets being saved instead of Erwin. As he claims, Erwin would be able to handle the situation the Servicar was in, highlighting how much respect and value Armin saw in Erwin. But in the end, Levi made the decision and it was the right one in the end. I think my favorite part, but also the saddest part, Erwin sacrificed so much for the chance at his dream coming true. And in the end, it did of course come true, but he was not the one to see it. Everything his father predicted and everything Erwin fought for came true, but he was unable to see it through to the end. Erwin was unable to achieve his dream, but that was the best part. The dude risked the single opportunity to see it through. He could have just sent his comrades who died to give Levi the opportunity to kill the Beast Titan and see his plan through to the end. The Zealot was within reach, and even with that, he knew the only way his gambit would even work was throwing his dream away to achieve victory. With his death, he appointed Hanji to be the next commander, and like Armin, Hanji has to live with trying to live up to what Erwin was able to achieve, but neither of them could be like Erwin, because they were their own person. You can try and imitate the person you admire, but you can never be like them. Erwin became a devil to fight the devils, and if he was chosen to be saved, the series would be totally different. And as much I would like to go over the what if of this, I don't want to make this video any longer than it already is. This might be a part 2 type of thing. And to be exactly like Erwin, you would have to be able to throw away your own humanity and be able to risk it all for a single gambit. Not many people would be able to do this. No one in the series would be able to do exactly like Erwin did. Not everyone could. Some might, act. Like Eren might be able to do it, but not everyone else like Armin. Erwin is by far one of the best characters I've ever seen in my life, and not many anime characters can surpass him. He is just too good of a character, and one thing that drives him better than most anime characters is this man having one of the greatest eyebrows I've ever seen. It's on par with Whitebeard's mustache.